talk.
I'd like me a thick Kansas City steak and some country fried potatoes and a mess of greens. Oh, hell, just forget all that and give me a martini straight up with 2 olives for the vitamins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Fully Functional, a TNG podcast. I'm Maggie, joined by Jeff and Dory. Jeff and I, huge Star Trek nerds. Dory, Star Trek novice. And today we're going to be discussing the season finale of the first season of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh boy.
And by watching this episode, Dory has completed a Trekkie rite of passage. Watching the first season of TNG all the way through.
I'm honored. It's an accomplishment.
So the episode is called The Neutral Zone, and the original air date is May 14th, 1988. And yeah, we'll go to Dory for the recap.
Okay, so we start off, Riker's in charge. Picard is at an emergency conference. There is a 20th century Earth satellite floating around in space, and Data is interested. So he says like he wants to investigate more, and because they've got some time to kill waiting for Picard. So he takes Worf with him, and he goes around and he finds like cryo chambers in there, and there's like 2 gross skeletons and then 3 human, well, still like fleshy, sorry, that's like a gross way to describe it, but you know what I mean. Like still looking alive-ish people, like leaning on soundproof foam in these little chambers, and they're like, okay, technically they're dead, but Data's like, we'll bring them aboard, but they don't tell Picard, so surprise.
Well, he's not on the ship at that moment, to be fair.
Yeah, but they don't tell him till like a bit, like he's already on the ship and he's like, sorry, what's happening?
Yeah.
And so Picard gets back to the ship and he's like, we need to go to the neutral zone. Apparently 2 Federation outposts that are like at the neutral zone have been destroyed, and they suspect the Romulans are behind it. So they need to jet to the neutral zone. Riker thinks it's a trap. Okay, so this is a very quick side note. They're so weird with like amount of time on this show.
Yeah.
That they say 19 hours and 28 minutes until they get to the neutral zone, but they're going to get together in 6 hours from them then, and I'm like, that's still 13 hours till you arrive.
Yeah.
And then not all of it's moot because like we're there. Like what is the time relevant if we're there a second later? Like why do they keep saying this? It doesn't make sense.
I think the logic is that they're trying to be like realistic with how long it would still take to get places, even with faster than light speeds.
I mean, I get that.
That's my best guess.
I would agree. I don't think they do a great job of like time management.
No.
Because also, like, why would you meet 6 hours when there's still 13 to go? What are you going to do for the 13 hours
I don't know.
prior to getting to the neutral zone? What a weird way to decide time.
Well, 19 hours is a long-ass time. So I think 6 hours is like, okay, guys, go and like work on a plan, work on your part of the thing, like, you know, research and do that stuff. We'll reconvene. We'll check it out, and then we'll go from there, you know. And with, like, when it's that far away, like, they're probably gonna have, like, a nap or something in between.
Yeah, it just doesn't, it just doesn't feel like that time means anything, because we don't see anything, like,
happen.
I mean, yeah, basically. I mean, we have the people, so, like, the 3 people, Dr. Crusher thaws them, and they wake up.
Not to get too far ahead, but just you mentioning that, it's like, wow, they could have really used all that time to deal with these people.
Yeah, it's 19 hours, and they basically did nothing with these people.
Yeah.
So, like, that's a thing that, like, it doesn't make sense to me. They do this a bunch of times throughout the season, where, like, they make a statement about, okay, we have this much time, but then they waste it. There was an episode, like one of the ones with Q, where they're like, you have this much time, like 16 hours, and then they do nothing for 11. It's like, what? Like, well, you guys are the worst time management because the thing is, when they show up, when they get to the neutral zone, they still don't really have a plan because everybody keeps suggesting things at Picard, and he's like, no, don't go to battle stations, just wait. And I'm like, so what did you do for like 19 fucking hours when there still was no plan? So, yeah, I get, it's just frustrating. Stop telling us time. So, okay, the three people are flawed. They are the 20th century dead people. Mm-hmm. But now, thanks to modern, in this situation, medicine, they're perfectly healthy. So we've got Claire Raymond. She's a homemaker, 35. We've got Ralph Offenhouse, who is 55 and a financier. And L.Q. Sonny Clemens, and I just wrote musical because they said they didn't know much about him. Like, the information was a little skewed. And so I thought that was actually going to be a plot point. It was not. I was like, oh, maybe this is like, there's a reason why his information is skewed, and it's like a mystery or like something. No, it wasn't relevant at all.
Nope, not one bit.
I think the implicate, like, I think they were trying to make like a joke that he was just like a deadbeat musician or something.
I'm pretty sure that's what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, if anything, he was a musician. I would think that they would know more about him if he's like a public figure. Not less, but anyway. Oh yeah, so Claire wakes up and then she immediately faints after seeing Data and Worf. Sorry, guys. We learn that the year is 2364.
This is the first time that a year has been mentioned in any Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Which is actually very cool.
Like by Earth calendars.
Yeah.
I found that very neat to like finally hear where like what time period we're actually taking place in. So I was very psyched with that. So okay, they are shown. Oh, Sonny gets a martini made from the replicator, and he's real psyched, and they're all minds are blown. He says something really weird to Data that I don't know if this is like, you guys know the answer, because Data sure didn't know, and neither did Riker. Sonny goes, so they call Data back up to the bridge, and Sonny goes, duty calls. Hey, I understand. Why don't you come back later on, and you and me will find us a couple of low mileage pit waffles? What did I write? Oh, God. And help them build a memory. What the fuck does that mean?
I honestly have no idea.
Neither do I, and I can't find anything about it.
Yeah. My best guess is let's find a couple chicks and bang them so that they remember us.
I could see that.
I hate it. The idea of calling a woman a low mileage pit waffle, I may have just written it down wrong. I don't know what the actual...
I don't remember the actual word. But here's the thing, that's just a guess. I straight up do not know what the fuck he meant by that.
Either way, I don't know why I should be surprised. Sonny is a pig. So Ralph is being a huge asshole, and he just like really wants to speak to Picard, and he thinks his assets and his shit is more important than the safety of everybody on board the Enterprise, I guess. Because this whole time, Picard has made it really clear he's not interested in these three people are not his problem. Mm-hmm. Data brought them on. Picard's got other things to deal with. They could be like walking into a trap or dealing with like just the Romulan situation. But Ralph is a huge asshole. Although he does like apologize for being an asshole. There's like a whole back and forth about possessions and stuff. And I won't read the whole thing right now, but I do appreciate that Ralph did like apologize for coming on too strong. Mm-hmm. And he's like that, like he's built his life on knowing shit. So like now that he's in a situation that he doesn't really understand or doesn't know how to like.
Yeah, he has no control.
He has no control. Situation. Yeah, and I'm like, honestly, that's really relatable to me. I have like, I won't go into it, but I have like a thing. I like to know what's going on. I don't like being surprised.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Except with TV shows, apparently.
Yeah. Yes. That's the only time I want to be surprised is TV shows and movies. I don't like spoilers, but in real life, like for actual stuff, I hate surprises. So So Sonny asks to see Dr. Crusher. I think he wants something, some kind of like uppers, downers, something like that he was saying. And she says no. And then he touches her ass. He like smacks her ass on his way out. Mm-hmm. And I wrote in my notes, I will break his arm. I choose violence today.
Yep. If he hadn't have done that, I actually enjoyed his character, especially like his interactions with Data. I
kind of wanted like that was a lot of restraint, I think, on Crusher's part, because we know that woman would have smacked him or something. But yeah, she just the patience of a saint, that woman. Mm-hmm. So okay, they finally get to the neutral zone, and there's the whole. I think it's supposed to be intense, but honestly, I found it a little anticlimactic of like, oh, are the Romulans like cloaking? Oh, they are. Oh, yeah. There they are for a second. Oh, no, now they're gone. And now they're back. And now they're like right on our nose. Because like nothing happens. And so then they talk to the Romulans, and these guys find out that like a couple of the Romulans, their outposts by the neutral zone have also been attacked. And they don't know who's behind it, and they want to kind of know who, if the Enterprise crew knows. And Ralph has busted onto the bridge to kind of interrupt that. Well, not interrupt, but to like give his 2 cents. Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit helpful, but okay. So then Picard calls somebody, I don't remember who calls security. And then one of the security guys is the hot guy from that one episode.
Oh, really?
Like a bunch of episodes ago, there was an episode, I don't remember which one, but like the camera was like panning across, and then it's just like a hot guy at like the back desk, and it was just like one shot, and that was it, and we never saw him again until this episode.
And you were looking for him too.
I had my eyes peeled a little. I mean, honestly, I forgot about it for a while, but then I recognized, and I was like, that's the hot guy. Still looked great.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He's still working on the show. So that was a really nice kind of throwback for me a little bit. So yeah, we learn basically nothing other than like the Romulans also don't know who's going around exploding the outposts. And then Picard's like, what if we work together? Not like a treaty, but like, cooperation. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay, that could be cool. But going into the next season, working together to figure out like who is, blowing up these posts. Nope, no, not at all. It's the Romulans are like, so our shit got bombed and like destroyed because we were being negligent to our posts, and I think since we were negligent for that area, the Federation expanded, and I think we need to keep our eyes more on the prize, don't we? So this shit doesn't happen anymore. And I'm like, wait, so, and then the episode ends, and I was like, wait, so we never found out who blew up, who destroyed these ports, the outposts. We never find that out.
Can I tell you a secret?
Wait, don't tell her yet. I know what you're going to tell her.
I'm not going to say specifics.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to say...
Is this something we revisit?
Yes. We do find out eventually in the series. Okay, good.
However, they don't really talk about it that much. Like, you're just supposed to... They don't allude to this specifically happening.
Yeah.
It's like, it is... If you know that these are supposed to be connected, then you know. But unless you're looking for it, you're just like, oh, right, that's what that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. Because, like, the way they set it up, I thought this was going to be a much bigger deal. And then by the end, once they spoke to the Romulans and the Romulans left, and Picard was like, all right, we're going to this place. And I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like, it was literally just, like, a ham-fisted... thing to introduce the Romulans again. It like the character literally says, "We're back."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I don't know what they're back from, because they were in like I think exactly one episode of the original series.
No, they were in 2 episodes, but they were considered a really big threat. It's just that they didn't come up all that often.
Yeah,
I mean they haven't been seen in 50 years.
Yeah, but it was just also. Romulan was Mark Alamo.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. He was one of the goat alien guys from one of the really early episodes with the snake people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that same actor goes on to play, like, the main antagonist in a different Star Trek series.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, the whole Romulan stuff is kind of, yeah, I forgot what comes of it because I was actually enjoying it during the episode, and then at the end I'm like, oh, that's all they did with it?
Yeah, it was...
They're just like, we're here.
I tried to lower my expectations because you guys were saying last time that, like, you know, they don't do, you know, season finales the way we know season finales now, where there's like a huge cliffhanger or something massive happens. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, lower my expectations. But I didn't expect it to just like nothing.
Yeah.
To just be like, merp, merp, merp. We came here for a threat. Merp de merp. Now we're going to leave. Without solving the problem.
Okay, so here's the thing. This episode is largely the fault of two things. One of them is Maurice Hurley wanting to write something that will lay down a seed for what he could do with the second season. So this was supposed to be the first of a trilogy of episodes. The other thing, the other thing that definitely worked against this episode is, as I mentioned last time, writer's strike.
Oh, right.
This was right in the middle of it, and they had their treatment, but they couldn't write a teleplay. So they're like making it up as they go along. Apparently, Hurley did the entire teleplay in a day and a half by himself.
Oh no!
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I mean, when you're looking at the Romulan dialogue at the end of the episode, you can tell. Like, that is some rough, not very good
We're back.
Dialogue. Yeah. So I have, like, one major beef with this episode. Well...
Only one?
Yeah. There's obviously a bunch of things I don't like, but this is my major beef with the episode. Is they set it up so that you're supposed to be on Picard's side, but I'm almost kind of on, like, the people's side, because... they give them very little information and don't do anything to help them at all.
And then basically tell them to go away and leave us alone.
Yeah, they just shove them in a corner and then expect them to just not ask questions or anything like that. Like, when Picard calls Troy, he's just like, get them under control and keep them out of the way. It's like, well, maybe you should, you know, have her there to... counsel them and answer their questions and, like, give them the information they need and all that stuff.
Like, it's worth pointing out that this episode is simultaneously preachy but also neglects what it's preaching, because at this point Star Trek has spent its entire season, not its entire season, but a good portion of this season being preachy about the fact that humanity is beyond all of these things that we once were better. Now we want to, you know, go learn about the universe to better understand the nature of everything. And I'm sorry, but if, like, learning about your own history straight from the source is not something that interests you, sounds like humanity hasn't actually gone very far.
I know, seriously. It's amazing. Like, Data's the only one that cares, that gives a shit.
Who are the two people that go over to the derelict ship in order to discover a piece of history? The android and an alien. Yeah,
because Worf at the beginning was like, hey, the satellite is going to crash into the sun. Do you want me to, like, alter its course so it doesn't get destroyed?
And they're just like, nah, whatever.
Yeah, Riker's like, it's just a piece of junk, whatever.
I think he's like, let it take its natural course or something.
Yeah.
Which is like, ooh.
This is a very rare piece of, like, history here, of, like, an Earth space vessel. And the thing is that I could maybe excuse it if the main conflict of the episode had started already, but this is before Riker knows that they're in a hurry.
Yes, very true. He is kind of trying to rush everyone along and be like, look, just make sure that this stuff isn't around when the captain gets back. And it's like, why? Why wouldn't he be interested in that?
Also, Picard is like, why the fuck did you save these people? Like,
yes.
What?
That was very weird.
Because that is completely inconsistent with the Picard I know, frankly.
I think that there is a fundamental difference between the way that Gene Roddenberry wanted the show to go and the way that Maurice Hurley wanted the show to go. And this episode kind of showcases the way that Maurice was approaching it. It's a lot more focused on the fact that, like, you need some sort of drama to push the story than it is about pushing what Star Trek is really about in the underlying portion of it.
Oh, like the ideals. Yeah.
Yeah, because it does talk about the ideals, but clearly there isn't a lot of belief in them showcased in the episode. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of preachy about it, and that's it. And I think it's almost meant to be a kind of coda for the first season, in that it tells you everything you want, or that you should expect coming up. Like, oh, there's a new enemy and they're back. Oh, this is going to be, like, dramatic and whatnot. But also it espouses all of these values, but, you know, obviously they weren't woven together very well by somebody who had to cobble together a teleplay in a day and a half.
Yeah. And, like, the thing that really, really bugs me is they don't tell them how serious the situation is.
No, not at all.
It's like, you don't have to be detailed. You don't have to give them classified information. Like, you can just be like, listen, we promise we'll answer all your questions and, you know, deal with that. But we're on a very dangerous mission right now that is very time sensitive. So can you please just hang on for a moment? We'll have someone here to look after you, to show you stuff and that kind of thing. And then fuck off. Like, I think that, like, all three of those people would have been like, okay, sure. Like, maybe Offenheimer, I forget his name.
Yeah, it is Offenheimer. Or Offenhouse.
Offenhouse, yeah.
Offenheimer is someone else entirely, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, like, maybe Offenhouse would have been a jerk about it, and maybe he would have still done those things, but, like...
At least it would have made, like, him feel maybe... we'd still be more on Picard's side. Because, with the way that Ralph, though he does kind of act a bit like an asshole, he's kind of justified in acting the way that he was because nobody will explain what's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty understandable that he just wants answers. Like, he goes a little bit overboard, but, like, I don't entirely blame him.
No, neither do I.
Yeah. And then, like, after Riker and Data, like, first are talking to the people and, like, catching them up that, like, they're in the future and stuff, like, they're walking in the hallway and Riker's like, yeah, there's not many redeeming qualities about them.
Oh, yeah, he literally talks about them, and it says something along the lines of, like, it's amazing that humanity ever, like, got out of that era. And it's like, what do you mean? These people aren't even that bad.
Yeah, they're just confused.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, maybe Ralph's a jerk, but, like, what did the blonde mom, like, do?
Okay, we need to talk about Claire, because honestly, one of the things I was most angry about in this episode, Claire never wanted to be frozen. Mm-hmm. She was totally surprised. So she was frozen without her fucking consent. Her husband just decided to fucking freeze her.
Yeah.
And so she wakes up in this time. The other two guys, they signed up for this. She didn't. So she woke up to find everybody she knew and loved is dead. And she also had to find out that her children, who were, I think she said, like, 5 and 8 or 3 and 5 or something like that. They were young kids.
Yeah.
Had to find out her children is dead. Mm-hmm. And she's got, like, really, like, descendants, but, like, great grandson or whatever. And outside of, I think they said Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But, like, she is, like, she didn't want any, like, she didn't ask for any of this. And now she has to start over in a time period that she never asked to be in.
Yeah.
And none of this was her choice, and she's totally, like, she starts crying, and I felt so bad for her because this whole time, like, she didn't want this, and her selfish ass husband Donald was like, yeah, let's do this, and because to make him feel better, mm-hmm. so he could bring her back. I think they basically say that, and that's so frustrating. The selfish man's, like, decision over his wife. Like, it makes me so angry.
Good.
Like, she didn't ask for any of this.
Yeah.
And she ended up in this situation that she didn't consent to be part of.
Yeah. And, like, it's really fucked up. And Troy is, like, the one person that actually, like, actually does anything right, in my opinion. She, like, goes to her, tries to comfort her, talks to her, and then she's like, I miss my sons and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, well, let's see if we can find out about your family. Like, she tries to help them out. She gives her information. Like, yeah. You know.
Like, I guess making the best of a really shitty situation. And I appreciate that. I think Troy was, like, exactly who Claire needed in this episode.
Yeah.
It does kind of suck, though, that, like, she was sent because Picard didn't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
It's really not fair to her at all.
And this is something that, like, they don't even address, because I don't know, I guess in the 80s, at this point, they're not thinking about, she didn't consent to being frozen.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of brush over it so quickly just for her to be like, oh, I miss my children, which she has every right to do so. I'm sure, like, a lot of mothers would be like, where are my kids? If they've been frozen for 300 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have been on people's minds at that point.
No, it wouldn't have been, unfortunately.
On some levels, I understand Picard's annoyance and frustration because they have this whole deal with the Romulans happening right at this moment. But I still don't understand why he's so annoyed. Like, he refuses to have any empathy, really.
Yeah, I mean, and we've also seen him, like, exhibit patience before in these, like, weird situations.
Very true.
So this whole reaction just seems so out of character from throughout this whole season. Yeah, this feels super out of character. Because we've seen him being stressed and whatever, but, like, this is a really, like, unheard of situation. And it also could have been taken care of so easily by just 5 minutes being like, listen, we're in a situation. I promise you we'll be able to sit down and talk with you. Just, like, hang tight. But, like, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Everybody, like, different members of the crew go in to, like, handle these people. But they don't need to be handled. They just they're human. They're not idiots. They're not babies. Just, they're human beings exactly the same as, like, they are. So just fucking talk to them like an adult.
Mm-hmm.
It's so condescending.
Yeah, and Picard's whole preachy bit about, like, oh, we don't have those desires, like the need for possessions or whatever. It's like, you still have your stupid Shakespeare book. You still have your fish. You know, you have your collection of whatever.
He literally was fencing last episode. He has his own foil, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. I mean,
but they're beyond possessions.
Yeah. In fairness, he meant more of it as, like when people have things for status, like 50 cars and, like, 5 houses and that kind of shit. But the way it came off was just really, really condescending. You know, and rewatching this episode, I didn't think Ralph was, like, they're trying to portray him as, like, super money obsessed and greedy and all that stuff. And yeah, he's a little more obsessed with money than your average person, but it didn't seem like that bad. He was just like, his job was the stock market and that kind of shit. And so it would be fair that he's curious about, like, all that stuff.
I also found it kind of interesting how when anybody, like, suggested something that was, like, from the 20th century, everybody was like, what?
Yeah.
So, like, because, like, Ralph asks for, like, I wrote it down, a phone. He wants to speak to his bank, and he asks for a Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And they're all like, okay.
Yeah, they also don't answer him.
Yeah, they, like, Sonny asks for something also, I don't remember what, at the beginning. Oh, he wants to know what's going on the Braves. Yeah, whatever, I don't know what sport the Braves is.
Baseball.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he wants to watch baseball. He asks a billion questions, and then, like, nobody gives him an answer other than they're like, oh yeah, TV died in 2040. So guess what, gang? We've got 19 years left. Let's make the best of the next 19 years.
Yeah. And also, like, so to get on your point, like, Ralph, like, asks for all these things, and he could have just said, like, listen, the Wall Street Journal isn't a thing anymore. It's a long story, but banks aren't really a thing anymore.
Yeah. Instead, they just laugh at them.
I mean, I understand maybe holding off on that, because that's, like, I don't know if this is established yet at this point in Trek history, but basically money doesn't exist anymore. They don't use money anymore.
Oh, what do they use?
It's definitely written into the like backdrop of the show, but it isn't explicitly said until like way later.
Yeah.
So what do they use for like to buy stuff?
They don't. It's a post-scarcity society.
Yeah, because
what does that mean? I don't know how that works.
Oh, okay. So a post-scarcity society means that like nothing is scarce anymore. Like you have an infinite amount of whatever you need, right? So because of replicators, it's like you can make anything you need for the most part.
Oh,
so
okay. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, there's no need to buy anything because you can just get anything you need for free.
The workers literally own the means of production.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it's basically the whole system is changed. It's like there's still like trading and exchanges. Okay, so the Federation, sorry, side note. The Federation has to make like some kind of money somehow because they trade with other civilizations that still have money.
Yeah, the currency has not been eliminated from the universe. It's just been eliminated from human culture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was also thinking, like, say you want to buy a house. You can't, like, can you, like, replicate a house?
No, you don't. You just
or
get
you
land.
just, like, and then replicate.
No, you just go and get it.
You can technically replicate a house. But I think the way they do it, like, either they have, like, industrial replicators that would do that, or they just replicate the materials needed and then build it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, it's important to note that Star Trek is a show explicitly told from the perspective of people in the military. A lot of this stuff is not explored.
Yeah.
Ever. Or even mentioned.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we don't get to see civilian life very much.
Yeah.
That makes sense, I guess.
Which is kind of unfortunate.
I would really love to see them have, like, a beach day or something. I think this is my thing for a lot of shows I watch. I just want to have, like, one episode where people are just hanging out. Yeah.
Hey, there's a beach episode in DS9. It's bad.
Oh, it's so bad. Ugh.
I mean,
I think it's the worst episode of that series.
Mm-hmm.
Do they literally just go hang out at a beach?
No.
No.
We can't explain it.
Other convoluted things happen.
Well, okay, Dory, this might make you feel better. There is an episode in the future called Captain's Holiday. I can't tell you anything else about it, but it's called Captain's Holiday.
Somehow this doesn't make me feel better. I have a thing of, like, I just want to see people be happy. Like the characters. So like so every time they talk about like, oh, we're going to go to this planet and like hang out, I'm like, oh, who can we come to? I just want to see people enjoy themselves. Yeah. And then like in between, like I want to see the part, like obviously I want to see the drama, but like I want to just like see them having a good time hanging out sometimes too, which is I think why I also like the hologram episodes, because they're like kind of being like they're not mission based.
There's more of them
just kind of
up.
like lulz, and I enjoy that. Like even as fucking weird as Riker's was, I still really liked it because it's I want to see what people like to do. I want to know their hobbies, and just seeing people relax is just nice in between the drama. Like yes, I like the action, but like just want to make sure people are having a nice time too.
Unfortunately, it's a bit of a trope that every time like the episode begins like, oh, we're going on shore leave or whatever, they get sidetracked.
Yes,
I was just going to say, do they ever get paid overtime? But I guess that's moot. Of course they don't.
Yeah, they don't have money. Getting back to your point kind of on that, because you were saying like, what's his face, Sonny, he asks like for a TV or to watch TV or whatever. And
the
then,
boob tube.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, so what do you people do? And no one says anything.
I wrote in big capital letters in my notes at that point. I wrote, the holodeck. Is nobody going to tell them what a holodeck is?
Yeah.
Because that's all you fucking need at this point.
Like, yeah, the holodeck. We LARP.
Yeah.
Also there's the HARP hologram that Riker likes to.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I feel like these people are really underestimating like experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose it's like these three people are very like quintessential American people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like Ralph being like kind of acting entitled sometimes and like I need to speak to my lawyer, and Sunny being like, let's watch TV and baseball, and I need a guitar with my name on, like the tackiest guitar in the entire world, and I need to slap a woman's ass. American. For all intents and purposes, I'm not saying all Americans are like that. I'm just saying...
To our American listeners, we are not accusing you of slapping several women's asses.
This man is just... These people are American. Yeah. I'm not saying all Americans, but these people are American in this show. But, yeah, it's just... They gotta go out of their way to have them be a certain way. Like, almost like the worst qualities in a way. But,
yeah.
Well, the men, not Claire so much. She's just bummed the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I kind of lost my point. Oh yeah, but like the thing is like it wasn't like there was not stuff to do in the 20th century. Like it wasn't all like I grew up in the 90s, and like I was not barely inside as a kid. You mean like you go play like games outside with friends and whatever. Like it wasn't like all people did in the 20th century was watch television.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when did like television even become as like everybody had them in their house? Like this is honestly a really poor depiction of a 20th century person.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because you're giving just like one very narrow perspective.
It's like you can't offer them like a book even.
Yeah. Or it would have been almost more effective if they had like three people from like different eras of the 20th century.
Mm-hmm.
Or something. I don't know. Just all these people are obviously from the 80s.
Yeah.
So like I don't know. They're just it's very narrow-minded of what people were doing, because of course television was an aspect, but like people did shit outside of the television.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been a thing. I mean, can you imagine if they like thought of like the show knowing what it is now, that like with Netflix and having to watch TV on your phone?
Mm-hmm.
TNG would lose their damn mind to see what we have right now. Picard would be spitting on all of us.
Yeah. It's like TV as it was TV as it worked at the time is kind of almost gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
very true.
Like the entertainment form of like this audiovisual presentation is not gone, and I doubt it really ever will be.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
So yeah, that was just like another thing of like them kind of being up their own ass. That's like, oh, TV's just a fad or whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I think that making the sci-fi trope that they used a fad, the cryogenic freezing thing, was a good idea because, that was a fad.
Sure. Yeah, that was very deeply a fad.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like there's still companies that do it probably, but it's not as like talked about as it used to be.
There might be a couple that do something along those lines, but we also didn't really figure out how to do it properly.
Yeah, they never found a way to like do it in a way that worked, but I don't doubt that there's people that kind of sell it as a kind of scam anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, on the show, they didn't figure it out either. They just kept a body frozen. Like, all these people did die.
Mm-hmm.
So technically the company didn't succeed. Like, Crusher is the one who brought them back and fixed and, like, brought them back to health.
And the thing is like, it's kind of a misnomer that freezing completely stops things from rotting. It just slows it down immensely, but it's still happening.
Yeah.
That's very true. Oh, that's interesting. I just looked it up, and apparently it's generally viewed within the scientific community as pseudoscience.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. It's very weird that they decided to combine these plots.
Yes, agreed.
Like, because the whole, like, people from the past thing, I think could be a very interesting episode by itself.
Yeah, I think Star Trek, for this one season that I now have watched, I feel like the show is like the strongest when it has one plot.
Mm-hmm.
It focuses on one thing, and that's the episode. Because like when you get multiples, it doesn't necessarily, most of the time, it doesn't mesh well.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work. All the episodes where there's just been one plot, I think, have just been more, it's just worked out better. You focus on one thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, people get too, like, I don't want to say sloppy, but the plots can be really sloppy.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It just, like, I mean, this episode, freaking, they just decided, nah, okay, we're just going to leave it. But also not make it like, oh, like make it feel like a cliffhanger, or even make it feel like we're going to touch back on it. They just dropped it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get why in this episode because of the writer's strike, but they've done this in other episodes where they just like drop a plot line or like a thing that's happened and just move on. So to just I think they're at their strongest when they stick to one plot and everybody has to deal with one plot.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So far, at least, it's like when they have just one thing to focus on, it's been much stronger. In my opinion, with the exception of Coming of Age, which had two like fully realized plots.
Yeah, that was, and they also, I think it's also like it wasn't necessarily A and B. I think they were pretty equal in terms of screen time for each plot. So one wasn't, I don't know if I necessarily call them like A plot or B plot.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of parallel to me. But yeah, focusing on like a major thing. Also, Coming of Age. Oh my God, we haven't seen Wesley in forever.
Yeah.
Hope he's doing okay.
Yeah. Okay, so also, this is another example of how, like, security on the Enterprise fucking sucks.
Yeah, even the hot guy was bad at his job.
Yeah. It's like, so I think Ralph is right. He's like, because he like contacts Picard like at some point over the intercom, and Picard's like what the fuck are you doing? Like that's just for official ship's business. And he's like, well, if it's so important, why isn't there like a key or a code to use it? And he's like, listen, like we can all control ourselves here. And it's like, but there's civilians on the ship, and also you guys are transporting random people all the time. There should definitely be like a security code to use the intercom, or at least like to put limits on who and when you can contact people.
Yeah, because it also feels like every time they, press the thing on the chest, like that everybody can fucking hear everything. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter who's in the room. Like last episode, Picard is talking to Crusher on the thing, and then Dexter walks in, and I was like, can they not hear this? It's like, sounds like everything's on speakerphone all the time.
Yeah, and they obviously, like, they have, like, voice pattern locks on things. They obviously have, like, security clearances in some capacity.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah,
like...
because they ask for, like, names and shit for stuff.
Couldn't the turbo lift, like... If it's not a voice pattern that has bridge authorization, then it shouldn't allow you to go to the bridge.
Yeah.
Like that's a very easy, like especially in Star Trek universe, that's a very easy security precaution to implement.
Yeah, also, we know that there's like cameras all over the ship, so where's that security being like, hey, we see there's somebody on that camera, hey, bridge, somebody's coming in the elevator. No,
absolutely no one was looking after these people. They were just left alone in a room. Like, they didn't even have anyone guarding the door. Like, Ralph just walks out and can go at like anywhere he wants. Also, there was a really buff dude in a scant when he was walking through the hallway, and I'm for it.
That's fair.
I'm really for it.
I like those.
Yes.
I really like those. They're so cute.
Yeah, they are really cute. I unfortunately, I don't think they stick with them very long.
No, they don't.
No,
they don't.
I love when they pop up all like randomly in the background, or somebody just walking by in them.
Mm-hmm.
There is a good reason that they don't stick with them, but we'll get into that later. There's essentially a wardrobe change.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, it's not the most practical of outfits. You can't really bend in any direction.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
But they're cute as hell.
Yeah, they're quite short. Unless you have, like, little biker shorts underneath or something. That's what I always do when I wear a skirt or a dress. I just put biker shorts on underneath, and then I don't have to worry about, like, I can just, like, splay my legs open and not worry about it. Because I hate having to worry about people seeing my underwear. It's like, whatever, bike shorts.
Yeah, no, same. It's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And it's comfortable.
So does anyone have favorite moments or anything we didn't get a chance to touch on?
I mean, I have a couple of moments that I found really funny, but they're not necessarily favorite moments. Mm-hmm. So Worf trying to open the door and not knowing what a manual door was. Yeah. And it's like, that's stupid.
Oh, I love that.
There's so many, like, it's the future things in this episode that literally do not make any sense at all. The banjo twang during that, I think it's that first scene with Sunny replicating a drink.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it's like, now.
They have the little banjo music as like a little, like, doo-doo-ch for his joke or whatever. It was
real stupid.
Yeah.
And there's a line that Beverly said when they were talking about like where these people came from, and she's like, well, it was from a period when people actually feared dying. And I'm like, you're shut up. Just delete that line.
Yeah,
because I think right after she goes, too afraid to live, too scared to die.
Oh
my God.
Oh yeah, and there was that bit where she was like, most of his organs and stuff were affected by chronic chemical abuse. She's like, unbelievable. Like, there's still drug addiction in the future.
Yeah, they did an episode about it.
Yeah, we literally had one. Yeah. We just watched an episode about that.
Yeah. And as Tasha reminded us, drugs can make you feel good.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah, Beverly, like, Dr. Crusher was there for the fucking back to school special. How did she forget already?
I know.
Okay, I have, like, one part that I liked, I guess. Data goes, hooey, as in hogwash, malarkey, jive, an intentional fabrication.
What I liked about that scene is that Sunny is, like, basically the first person that doesn't cut Data off. And he's not annoyed by Data, like, rolling through all the definitions. He's like, there you go, now you got it.
Yeah, he's a very patient person.
Mm-hmm. He really just goes with the flow.
Yeah, I honestly, there wasn't a lot of, like, favorite stuff in this episode.
Yeah.
This was kind of like a bummer of a season finale.
Yeah.
Honestly. I think if they switched last episode with this episode,
I know.
What a way to end a season.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up, that, like, Conspiracy would have been a great season finale.
Right?
Yes, agreed.
I would have been like, oh my God, and that's how they end it, with, like, Dexter being blown up. Like, what a way to end the season. I'm traumatized, but at least that trauma will stick with me for a while. But now I'm onto this, and I'm like,
yeah.
I kind of want Dexter's exploding head now.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take that over this.
Yeah, this is kind of a nothing episode, other than to, like, tease a couple things.
Yeah, and honestly, not very well.
Yeah, not well at all. There's better like teasers for the consequences we're gonna experience later in later episodes.
Awesome. I'm actually really excited for next season, because this season has definitely been interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely, season 1 is definitely a slog, and that's why I said that this is like a rite of passage.
I mean, there's been, it's been a roller coaster ride, ups, downs. I mean, there has been some stuff from this season that I really, really loved. Mm-hmm. So I'm...
Yeah, and season 2 is still not yet peak TNG, but it's where we kind of start to see, you get little glimpses of, like, where the series is going to go. And, like, you get to see more of the good stuff.
Yay.
Yeah. So I guess I also didn't really have any favorite parts. We covered what I wanted to cover. If I would say anything, it was like the interactions between Data and Sunny. I really liked those. And with that, I guess we should get into predictions for the first episode of season 2. So, because it's a season opener, my description's going to be a little more complicated. There's a lot I want to hint you on.
Ooh.
So the episode is called The Child.
Okay.
And I debated what order to do this in, So, let me do it this way. All right. So, we have to say goodbye to someone. Yeah, unfortunately. I will tell you this, they are not dead. We just have to say goodbye to them. We say hello to a couple new people.
Oh, wait, so there's new people. Okay. Mm-hmm. Is this like regular cast, new people?
Yeah.
Or just like, okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
A bunch of the crew get a fresh new look. Yeah.
Oh my god. Do you know that? Oh my god, it's like the makeover song. The makeover.
So that's kind of the housekeeping portion of just like, it's a new season, we get a new start, all that kind of stuff. And now for the actual plot of the episode, my only hint to you will be is that it's very problematic and it involves Troy.
Oh no. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. And there's a child, or the child. Oh, that makes me think of Baby Yoda. I don't care if anyone wants to argue with me, I don't care what Baby Yoda's real name is. I don't watch The Mandalorian. I just know that they called him the child.
Yeah.
Oh god. I like Troy. I don't want to come up with something like a bad prediction for her.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the first episode of the season is questionable.
Oh god. Does she steal a baby? Does she steal a kid?
I don't know. Does she?
Really can't answer that.
That's true. Like, I've forgotten the concept of making predictions. You can't ask the question, dummy. Okay. So, all right. Well, if I know that it's problematic, let's make it real bad. All right. I hate to even like do this kind of shitty premise, but I have an idea. This is like pains me to even say it. Okay. So maybe it's that fucking trope of like, maybe Troy is like sees somebody with a child, and like that stupid fucking thing of women like all have to have maternal instinct, and like when they see a kid and it touches them in the uterus and they're like, oh, I have to take care of it, and she like goes in baby crazy and steals somebody else's kid.
All right.
I hope I'm really wrong. I hope I'm absolutely the wrongest of all my stupid predictions. Mm-hmm. I hope I'm so wrong. That being said, I am aware now that this is whatever is happening is problematic either way, but I really want my prediction to be wrong. But unfortunately, I've been on a little bit of a tiny roll.
Yeah.
Not really a roll, but like a little like a tiny rock kick, if you will. Like getting like some details correct.
Yeah.
But the general thing, no. Because I was weirdly right about, I mean, obviously the 20th century, but the 20th century stuff being more, I think I said like an exhibit, but they were still like they were fucking exhibits themselves, technically. Yeah. Because they were in the cryo things. Yeah. And they were, so, I mean, I was wrong, but I was also like tiny little bits, right? That's why I say a rock kick. Anyways, okay. Yeah, that's what I'm going with, that really shitty prediction.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait to watch the next episode to see if you're right. Now, before we go, the next podcast episode will actually not be about the first episode of season 2. We are going to be doing a season 1 retrospective.
Woo!
Yeah. We're going to talk about the season. We're going to talk about Dory's experience, like with her like first encounter with Star Trek, that kind of thing. We're going to have a few categories of our favorites, and we're going to be reviewing Dory's predictions. You know, we're going to have some fun stuff in there. All right, so please join us for the next episode of Fully Functional, a Teen G podcast.
Goodbye.